Hey everyone, good evening. My name is Manoj. I lead product for open source payment infrastructure being built by JustPay. So JustPay is, to kind of give a quick brief, it's a payment infrastructure solution company offering solutions for banks and digital business who want to do payments. It's been there for 12 years, doing around 125 million transactions every day. And I'm here to share the vision and the product, and we are building it using Rust, for how a payment infrastructure solution for the world should kind of be like and what we have done until now. When it comes to payments, all of us do payments across multiple apps. Like as consumers, doing payments is like super easy. We just put in a credit card, or we do PayPal, we pay for our account, so on. It's super easy. But as a digital business, most of the businesses are global today. Offering payments at a global scale and being able to cater to all the local diversity that happens in payments is still a pain. There might be solutions that solve this problem, which can give a quick go-to-market. It's easy to adopt, but those are not cheap enough. They have to pay a huge margin for it. So payments is technically at a global scale is not a global utility yet. Just like water, electricity, why can't payments also be a part of it? Just for a business to start accepting payments, why can't it be like super easy, cheap, and accessible? This should happen because moving money seamlessly for a digital business is just taking money from a customer's account and putting it inside the business bank account. It's conceptually, it's so simple. Eventually, payments is just moving bytes of bookkeeping information from the consumer's bank account to the business bank account. So it can't be so difficult problem to solve. But when it comes to federated, regulated payment systems, we are talking about centralized payment systems over here that each country has. The supporting software for that has not really become a utility. For instance, I'm flying from India and booking a hotel in an unknown country is not so difficult today. Or booking a cab to come to this place, it's super easy. But few decades ago, this wouldn't have been the case until the software that supports this functionality actually becomes a utility. So in payments, this is something that is so simple in terms of moving bytes. It really needs like a cloud-native payments software which can give reliability, robustness, scale as a primitive part of that particular software. So this is how we started, like thinking that payments should be cheap, secure, robust for everyone to access. But it has not become like this, even though we have credit cards from, say, 1960s, we have bank accounts from even before that. Everything is moving towards digitization, but payments is not really a full utility due to three reasons. One is when it comes to federated payment systems, which all the local governments manage, and it's going to exist for quite some time. There is a lot of fragmented innovation that happens. Like each and every country has its own set of systems that are implemented and that have scaled like to a great extent. Say in India we have UPI, which clocks around 120 billion transactions every year. In Brazil there is a PIX. Roughly 40 billion transactions per annum. A lot of local systems in every country emerge. The Fed now is piloting in the US, which will make real-time payments happen in the US. That's a recent innovation. So a lot of innovation happen in local silos. And these systems are not together accessible and easy enough for any digital business that wants to offer a payment solution for its customers. That comes to the second point, which a large-scale global unification that brings together all the local systems around the world is something that is super expensive. That's a lot of work in terms of compliance, bringing all these systems together, making them work, maintaining them, and running it. And so many applications have to connect to so many payment systems across the world, which makes it like an end-to-end problem, so which leads to a code explosion, and maintaining it is even more super expensive. Third is regulation compliance in payments. It is one of the complex areas, and there is a lot of simplification that has happened. We have a lot of black box solutions that can be taken and used, and it's okay, compliance is taken care. But larger businesses, the larger the business becomes, the larger the volume grows. You would prefer a business like, say, an Amazon or like a Netflix would go into each and every country and solve for payments. That needs connectivity with the local systems, local innovations in that system. And that would demand a large business to get compliant by themselves. So in addition to simplification, regulation and compliance also need transparency on how it is getting done. What are the first principles that are being applied in the application? What are the first principles that have been applied in the infrastructure configuration? How can I do it myself? So it needs a lot of transparency on how compliance is being done, rather than just guaranteeing that I am compliant and here is my certificate, I'm good to go. So these are some reasons on why payments have not become a utility yet, which brings us to how it should be. Internet is one very good example where applications started connecting to the hardware, and all that became possible because of a narrow waist of an IP, and a lot of innovation happens on it. So at every point in time, a narrow waist happens, and that becomes a bedrock of a much more large-scale innovation. So in payments, a similar approach of how there are so many applications around there, say e-commerce apps like Amazon or Zalando. There is subscription services like Prime or Netflix. There are different contexts of payments like credit system-based payments, in-store payments, utility billers, people moving money between countries. All sort of these applications are on the top half of the hourglass. And here, there are global payment networks which work around the world, and every country seemingly has its own payment network, which are the local card networks that happen. There are account-to-account payment systems which moves money from bank A to bank B. There are alternate payment systems which are global, and some of them are also local in a country where, say, in most European countries have their own local payment wallets, which are quite diverse enough by itself. And of course, there are banks, and there are just so many banks out there. All of them are doing great payment innovations in a localized manner or in a country level. So this is the bottom of the hourglass, and a connecting, unifying layer, a trusted and open source and a global unifier is something that how payments should be. And that has kind of three components to it. One is a unified messaging or an API layer, which is basically, if you see payments, we said it's moving bytes. So if you see payments across a lot of local systems, it's basically a data transformation exercise, like converting like a unified format of data into different formats and sending it to the right entity and interpreting it back. Unified experience, which is primarily more the payment methods, the consumer experience becomes like super bad, and drawing the right abstractions to that is super, super critical. This we have seen in our many years of experience in payments, that more payment methods happen, the conversion rates drop out. And it has to be solved the right way. And a unifier for workflows where payments integrate well with systems when all the building blocks are stitched together. As a small business, maybe the needs are very standard, can be easily standardized, but as the business grows, it becomes like an enterprise. The large companies invest in their own payment infrastructure because these building blocks have to be like super configurable to each and every enterprise use case. So tying how a payment has to happen to a refund, to a subscription, to how disputes and fraud being managed, it's all going to be very, very complicated. And this needs unified workflow, which is a configurable system that any business can take it, modify it, and use. And to do this, is how we envisage a global unifier for payments, which should be built as an open source software, to kind of bring together three things. One is the community, to do a lot of local stuff, and centralizing them needs a lot of community effort, and in terms of inputs, in terms of contributions. There is a lot of regulations that have to be complied to, which is, again, time, money that to be put in to kind of make the application compliant to each and every local requirement. And the third part is commercialization, because in payments, fintech to succeed, just open source without having a commercial angle to it is sometimes not really the right formula for success. It becomes like something that exists, and is it probably being run? What is the incentive to run? So commercialization has an angle to it, like, of course, this offering hosted services or having premium certified compliant product modules to the entire payment software is one way how we see it, to kind of bring community, commercialization, and regulation into an open source approach. And that's how we opened up our 12 years of experience in payments. We are opening up this entire payment infrastructure solution for every digital business there to take it and adopt. So we have open sourced in the name of Hyperswitch. With right now we are around 10,000 stars on GitHub. We are a community of 1,000 plus developers, in addition to JustPay's 1,000-member organization. JustPay itself is a 1,000-member organization. Since 2012, processing around 500 billion and 125 million transactions per day. So the open source offering, Hyperswitch, has 10,000 stars, 1,000-member developer community. A lot of developers across the globe from everywhere have deployed the software, running it, trying to get it compliant, because we have made it like a recipe on how to kind of do the compliance yourself. And a lot of things are fundamentally ensured in the application and infra as code concepts. So in overall, for payment solution like this to succeed, how we see, like, this has to be co-built with the community. And for co-building with the community, this needs a lot of inputs in terms of niche problems that happens in how we manage business payments, what sort of roadmap elements are the right ones to prioritize. So we kind of do this all in an overall community-driven approach. And the goal is to make such a payment software which is only affordable by a very large business right now who can invest in building such in-house system. The goal is to kind of take this to each and every business out there, make it easier, cheaper, and sustainable for them to adopt. That is pretty much it. More information about the project available at JustPay/Hyperswitch on GitHub, and our website is hyperswitch.io. That's pretty much it.
Thank you. Any questions on payments? Decentralized payment is a very crucial part of the ecosystem. So you have a question?
Yeah. What is the business model behind this? How can you maintain such a big open source project? And like, what are the goals of the company behind it?
This good question. Being open source in one way kind of means that the software, especially the kind of consumers of the software, are so regulated, are super large enterprises who will run such a software through like very hard scrutiny process that itself the process makes the software secure in a way. And as I said, payments, this sort of a payment software is about moving bytes of information and transforming the right information, following the right principles in terms of encrypting the data at source, encrypting it during transit, putting the right infrastructure controls in place, like the implementation of the software, because there's just code. A lot of things are also depend on how the software is being implemented in one's own environment. So having these two controls in place solves for security, and in any open source project, like it had happened, like having a good vulnerability disclosure programs, incentives, we do that because we have been in this space even for a commercial product. So we've been running a commercial product for like 12 years, and we have opened this up 2 years ago. So giving the right bug bounty incentives also kind of helps to kind of keep security under control and top notch.